All right, we are live. Welcome, everyone. Hello, I hope you're well. And let's get straight into this. And as usual, let's start with Bitcoin. Let's give a little bit of a review of what happened yesterday. Let me just make sure that, okay, everything is good. Chat is working. I believe volume is working. Yes. Perfect. Also, remember that if you want to check any altcoins or any asset, just drop it in the chat and we will give it a look. So, as we said, let's start off with Bitcoin. So, yesterday we finally got that long trade. If you were following in the live, I was saying for that long trigger, we would want to see a move below this low. We came there at first. We ever so slightly front run that level, had that pump. I did not freak out. I did not take a long trade at this point. And as you can see, we then had that crash. We had a perfect SFP on the 30 minutes, as you can see right there, 2 candle closes above. That was the trigger for the long. I sent that actually in the Discord. And you had a very, very simple long trade with that target towards first that 89,000, which I had been waiting for a while. And then that second target would have been a little bit more up towards that 90,800, 91.3. So anyways, this was a very successful trade. We basically had the same exact thing, which was actually very, very simple, that we had the previous day. So as you can see, previous day, market open. This was 2 hours within market open. Took that low, reversal. The day after, market open, right here. We didn't take the low. Just 2 hours later, exact same time, look at that. That was at 1730 UTC. This was also 1730 UTC. We take the liquidity, close the candle. I don't remember exactly what order flow was looking like. I'm guessing there was a couple of short trades being stuck here. And you had that reversal towards that target. Then what happened? I actually took a short trade right here. It wasn't right there. This was overnight. The day after, as you can see, we started ranging just below my level of interest. We had that daily level, weekly naked point of control. And in the morning, so this was around 9:30, 10, we had that move up. We had that SFP of the range. Tap perfectly the daily and the weekly, along with the bigger point of control of the range that we've been in since January. So just in the last 9 days. And that was for me a trigger. And to be honest, I had a very, very good entry. I had an entry at around 89.4. I even sent this in the Discord. You can check that out. Let's see. That was 27th. No. Anyways, somewhere here, I had that trade. And we got stopped out. So I took a very small loss of $300 or $400. So that was no big deal, considering that I was long from here and I was making about 2,000. So not an issue. And then actually, as you can see, we rejected pretty perfectly. We had that rejection at first on this value area high. You can see the respect of those candles on the 30 minutes, right? And then we actually had a move down here. I said I wasn't going to short because it was too late at this point. We also had a lot of shorts opening here. So I was expecting another move up. We did then go and grab that liquidity once again for another SFP, once again rejecting the value area high. And then we actually had that reversal. I said there was a setup when there's basically, I put this in the chat, but basically when you have the daily open outside the value area high, let's imagine this is the value area high, right? Exactly like this. Well, the previous day value area high. Once it fakes out the high, which is exactly what happened here, and you get that SFP, you do have a short trade trigger that activates to trade this back down to the previous day value area low. I warned the Discord about this. I said it was a valid trade. However, I personally did not take it myself. So I am actually in no short trades except for my bigger short trade that I've been in since 93.1. So I was not interested, to be honest, in shorting here. If you took the short trade, that is great. You could have either taken the aggressive, hold on, let me clean this up. you would have had two options. You either would have taken the short trade off of this simple SFP once the candle closed on the 30 minutes, and you would have had, honestly, a very, very nice short trade. Just it did not match with my strategy because we just flipped this area into support. And honestly, with the amount of shorts that were opening, I was expecting something more of a retest of this level, which was resistance. But as I said, we flipped it into support to then continue towards my higher targets, towards 91.3. But that did not happen. We actually lost that level. And to be honest, on the fake out of this level, you could have taken a short trade there. Once again, I already had my short trades. I was not so interested in taking another one. So I had no problem in doing that. Also, I was already short on pipping. As you can see, I actually shorted the exact high. So honestly, I was happy to either wait for higher or just take no position. And remember, taking no position is also actually a trade. Anyways, so yeah, that was pretty much what we had. Now, also let me show you the trade on Pippin because this was actually insane to another level. So in the previous live stream, so when was this? 2 or 3 days ago, I had given this trade. As you can see, I can show you right here in my position history. We have that Pipping long right there, right? With entry at 30 cents. Of course, the average closing price is lower because I trailed this. As you can see, I bought the bottom, I sold all the way up, and then I got stopped out yesterday once I took that short trade. So yeah, I made 2,000 off of that long trade, which was literally the exact low. As you can see right here, we had that entry, we had that perfect Fibonacci retest. So if you trace that, you will see it. And from there, we had a massive 80 to 90% pump, right? So from the entry to the top, 84% pump, right? To then reach that weekly target. And by the way, I even sent the short trade yesterday in a YouTube video where I gave my plan for the next week. So you really had no excuse to miss this trade because I also sent it in the Discord. I had it before. Where is it? Right here. There you go. I am also taking the hedge on pipping to fully cover my remaining long position. So really no excuse. I sent my position. My risk was only $300. And at the moment I am making how much? Just almost $700. And we took the first take profit yesterday at the value area high and the second take profit right here today. So once again, no excuse to miss this trade. And as you can see from there, another massive drop of 40%. So to be honest, someone was calling me. To be honest, you had no excuse to miss any of these trades. We also had another short trade before getting into this long trade, which once again was perfect. So we got the high once, we got the low right here, and we got the high once again. After we analyze Bitcoin, because we do have market opening in about 7 minutes, we will take another look at Pippin. But for now, I have taken my, as I said, my take profit 1 right here. I've taken my take profit 2 right here. Technically, take profit 3 just got front run. I'm honestly very patient. We're just back testing the point of control right here. This can easily, I'm guessing also there's an anchor VWAP coming up. Yeah, so we just tapped the anchor VWAP perfectly from that last impulsive fall down. And to be honest, this can just easily keep doing this. So this is going to be take profit 3. And if we flip this into resistance, so we lose it, flip it into resistance, I think next target is going to be 24 cents. So honestly, no reason to close that trade. No reason to switch to a long yet, to be honest. My target remains lower. So that's it. Anyways, let's go back to Bitcoin. Bitcoin, as I was saying, now I don't know, hopefully you have a short trade from either higher or from yesterday. As I said, I just simply took a loss and I already had my other trade, which is running in $5,000 of profit. So what do we need to look at next? Of course, as always, we do have to look at the local price action that we have. So once again, here you can kind of tell that we are already forming a very small local range. And we know pretty well that these ranges have been working pretty well for market opens. Now, I don't think if we're going to reverse here, which I don't know if it's likely at this point. I feel like since we came all this way down, we either have to hold here or we're gonna go for these lows at 86. But once again, we can look for that usual trap that has been happening for now a couple of days. So as we had here and as we had right here, we could, to be honest, look for that simple SFP, see if that range is respected, and if we get the right closes and we get the right order flow, we can look for that reversal here. Once again, this is not my favorite scenario here. And I honestly don't want to rush into a long. So I might miss this unless we get like a very, very clear trigger for a long trade. But to be honest, this low is finished. This low is finished. If we had to reverse, I would say this is fine to take because this was overnight. So we'll also look at the TPO in a second. And we can see that reversal here, to be honest. That would be my thought process here. Of course, if we go down to here and here, I'll be monitoring reactions, but optimally, I would look for that bigger long trade at right here. And I've actually talked about this here, so I hope I'm not repeating myself too much, but if you don't know what I'm talking about, I made a full analysis on the latest video that I posted on YouTube. So if you want to have a little bit more details,
get a bullish reaction.
Everything is covered here. And that was the short trade I was waiting for, which unfortunately did not play out. However, this does give me the fact that we now have these highs right here and these highs right here, and we have this area of resistance, which is now untouched, and we also have a daily naked point of control. This actually gives me a little bit more confidence to trade this long trade down here if we get that, because I feel like we do now have, I mean, this high is good, of course. These are very close to each other, so I don't think that is super good. So I do feel like we can go and revisit that. But this will give me a little bit more confidence to trade this. And that would be like a third touch type of trade, right? So you would have that third touch here. Hopefully we get that sort of either SFP or fake out of the range, and then we can look for that reversal. And we do now have that resistance here. So here is going to change a little bit based on where we go first, right? So if we leave these levels untouched up here, so towards 91.5, and first we go get that liquidity that we have below the 86, then I think this can play out better, right? That long trade is going to be much, let's say, easier to take, considering the fact that we still haven't visited these highs right here. And we can try something like this. If, however, we first don't take this 86 and we bounce here, let's assume that we can get that very nice long trade here. I highly doubt it, but let's say we can at market open, and we first trade above here, then I will have more confidence to take this short trade, right? So context matters. It matters where you go first. If first we go higher and we take out the liquidity here, I can say, okay, business is finished here. Now we can look for lower. If instead, first we go down and we take this out, and I can say, okay, now business is finished to the downside, and now we can look for that reversal. At this point, I will still monitor the reaction and I will still be interested in that short trade. But I feel like at that point, we can move a little bit more up, right? And then from there, we're going to have to look at different levels and see the reclaims. If we get certain reclaims, then we can look for higher, of course. So we do have to take this step by step, as usual. But yeah, I hope this makes sense. If it doesn't, please drop it in the chat and I will try to explain it again. But should be pretty clear. It's just based on the liquidity, right? If you take this liquidity, we can now look for lower. If first we take this liquidity, then we can look to the other side. It's just a simple liquidity trading mixed with context. Right, so that's pretty much it with Bitcoin. We do have market open in 1 minute. Let's also check quickly what the stock market is doing. Stock market just bullish as always. As I always say, this was the longing area if you wanted to take that trade. And as long as we maintain above the previous all-time high, I think this is fine for another push. And yeah, so yeah, not much to update there. Gold, as always, I've been speaking about this. I mean, this, you can literally just buy this every single day and make money. I was speaking about this in the last live stream. The strategy has literally been to just buy every single day. And I do think at one point this has to crash. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, it can easily keep going up. That's what it has been doing for the last years now. So it's going to be very, very hard to time the top. yeah, I mean, just honestly the most bullish thing I've ever seen. You don't even literally get the retracement to get, or like the pullback to get in these long trades. So that kind of sucks. If you've been in from lower, good job to you. It's a great position to be in. I do have physical gold, as I've mentioned before, and I am honestly going to start selling it. I just have to find a jeweler here that sells, those stores that do gold selling. So yeah, as you can see, Pippin, that was just a very simple retest of that point of control so far, it seems. All right, so once again, I do expect for 29 cents to be hit. And then if this is lost, for that 24 cents. Ethereum, I honestly haven't looked at Ethereum much. Oh, wow, look at that. This is nice. This is very nice because I have been in this long trade on NEO for a while. I must be making about $3,000 at this point. For those who are new, I do see that we have about 30 people in the live stream, so I'm sure some of you guys are new. I have been trading NEO. This is a stock, by the way. This is not crypto. I have been trading NEO back in July. I took this amazing trade where I made about $10,000. I shared it in the group. And then since then, I sold out of this trade at around 6 or 7. I don't remember. Since then, I have been very patient. Even on this pump, I was saying, okay, we're going to hit this anchor VWAP and probably reverse for my target, which is going to be the only single target that I'm interested in for a long trade. So I took this long trade at around 4.57. That was my exact entry. And I've just been patient with this. And as you can see, now we had that nice 10% pump. I bought $35,000 worth of this. I took a take profit at this anchor VWAP where initially we rejected. I mean, from here, honestly, great trade. I would say, let's see. Yeah, now I'll be looking at around 5.4 if we can hold above 4.9. 5.4 seems pretty likely for a level. What the hell are these candles? Okay. We do have that weekly level as well at 514. So I would say 514, and then 544. I don't want to open my bank account now live, so I can't show you the trade, but I think I do have a screenshot here somewhere. So let's see, just to give you some proof. There you go. So that was my trade, January 22nd. As you can see right there, 2026. This is after I just took 25%. So of course my position went down. I had $8,000 quantity, which I believe was either 30 or 35,000. I don't remember exactly. Based on the math, I'm guessing it was 30. And yeah, so now it's up another 5%. I should be making around $2,000 or $3,000. Yeah, looks very, very nice. I honestly don't see any resistance, but again, we do want to hold this level right here. I'm not even sure why it's pumping. Maybe it could be news. I have no idea. I just trade the technicals. So yeah, this was another really amazing trade, to be honest, which is already up a 1, 2, 4, right? So you could have raised 500, you could have made 2,000. So once again, no excuses if you have a small account to not be making money, okay? Okay, let's see the chat. Can you look at SUI? We'll take a look after at SUI. It's possible to give a look at XLM, GXZ. Yeah, all of this we're going to look in a second. So anyways, Pippin we covered, Bitcoin we covered. Let's move over to Ethereum. So once again, I did want to take a short trade at 3.7, which unfortunately we didn't reach all the way there. I did want to sell 50% of my stock. You can see my alert right there above this high. Unfortunately, we didn't get there for so little. Now, honestly, I'm not so interested in Ethereum. I am holding quite a lot in spot, around 60 or 70,000. And there's going to be either of two things. I'm either going to wait for higher targets and then sell a little bit here and take that short trade at around 3.7. Because that's going to make it, I think, the make it or break it area, right? So I'm not going to sell my spot. I'm going to hedge my spot with a short trade, because I do think if we flip this area, if we ever get there, by the way, I do still think it's possible, as I've talked about before, that we can revisit 2.6 to 2,000, where I will be adding to my positions here, by the way, in spot, that is. And again, if we flip this area where you can see clear demand and supply flip, then I do think we're going to move back up towards 4.3. And then at that point, perhaps we can see some altcoins moving. Also, I haven't checked out Ethereum BTC in a while, which is the indicator to see what the altcoins might be doing. So we'll be doing that in a second. But anyways, this is going to be the make it or break it for Ethereum, I think. So if we get here, I am definitely interested in that short trade to then trade it back down, maybe down to here if we don't get there first. And yeah, so I mean, I'm in a pretty good position. I have my spot positions. I don't have any short trades in case we drop, but I am willing to add. I don't have really an issue with holding Ethereum for the long term, even if we revisit 1.7. You know, this is an asset I'm going to be buying for the long term. And then yeah, it's going to be very simple. Either this short trade is going to give us a bearish reaction and we're going to take it, or we're just simply going to see what happens. If this is flipped into support, no need to take that short trade, and we can just let the spot right higher. Well, at least I can. I have spot position, as I said. So let's check Bitcoin real quick because we are moving down to these lows now. And I do want to, okay, so seems like no reaction so far. Of course, I'm just going to set an alert above here to see if we trade back above. You see, when you have these drops like that, there is no need to take a trade. You only take a long trade when you get that trigger. So many people are probably looking at this low and they're like, okay, I'm going to buy as soon as this goes below. No, there is no point doing that. You're just going to lose money. What you want to do is wait for the reaction, see the order flow, see if there are longs getting stuck as of now. Once you get that reclaim and you can say, okay, now there's longs stuck here at the bottom. If we start getting certain reclaims, then you can say, okay, this has now higher probability of squeezing back up and trading to the other side of the range and then perhaps higher, right? So no need now, just no bullish reaction. Why would you ever open that trade, right? I'm just trying to make you save some money. I don't want you to like randomly be setting stuff. So yeah, no need to do anything now. We can check order flow. I'm going to check it on here so that you guys can see it as well. And these are just long trades getting liquidated. Right, we can see that with the delta moving down. According to my statistics, this is about like, okay, wait, sorry. Now, why is the delta positive? Hold on. This is why I don't like using TradingView. I usually use Exo charts. I just can't share it here. But anyways, now at least we're getting that bullish reaction, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to wait for that candle to close in around 22 minutes. Of course, once again, I always say this, if you want to be aggressive, you can definitely take this trade, but do expect to be stopped out. Now, of course, the risk is so small, right? If you want to be aggressive, you can take this and you have like what? $300 on one Bitcoin of difference, which is 0.3%. So again, you want to be aggressive, you want to take it, go for it. I'm personally, that's not how I trade. Sometimes I am aggressive, but this is not the day. And yeah, I mean, or you have to wait for example, a lower time frame market structure shift, which can be on the 5 minutes. If you want to be even more aggressive, wait for a market structure shift on the 1 minute. And you know, sometimes being aggressive pays off because, for example, maybe you don't get that trigger to then enter long if you're a bit more conservative, or perhaps you get your entry above, 88,000 instead of getting it at 87,500. So yeah, it's your choice. It's not how I trade, but once again, as I always say, your account, you do whatever you want. So yeah, pretty simple. That's the plan. I am gonna wait a little bit more. If I want to be aggressive, maybe I'll wait for that retest higher low, and then break off market structure on the 1 minute and perhaps take it a little bit higher. And then still it's considered aggressive, but at least you have some sort of sign of strength. And I'm going to check Exo charts. You're not going to be able to see this, but I'll walk you through it as usual, just to see a little bit more clear what is going on. And there are some works actually next to my house, so I hope you don't hear that and it doesn't bother you. So open interest is down. There's 8 million negative delta. So yeah, that is just longs getting liquidated below that low, right? There is no new positions. It's just a liquidation. I'm gonna check on the 5 minutes. Let me see. And again, I know that you guys can't see this. I'm just checking myself and I'm just reporting back to you. Yeah, there's no short stuck, just longs getting liquidated. So for me, honestly, no need to be aggressive. I'm not gonna take this long trade yet. I'm gonna be a little bit more conservative. I hope that is clear for everyone. Now, let's hop on that CME. As you can see, this is exactly what I was talking about in the latest live stream. We had those poor lows, and I had said this can be taken, and I think we will take it on market open, which is exactly what happened. We then put a nice low there, which was actually the trigger once you close back above these lows right here. And I said right here, that's finished business. This is finished business. There's no need to go there. And I did give this long trade, which once again played out. And then once again, we had that short trade, which got stopped out for very little. Actually, if I just gave myself a little bit more space, this would have been a very profitable trade so far. But that's not an issue. So let's see what we have here. Once again, as you can see, finished business, finished business. Now this is finished business. These are a little bit close, but I think it's fine. And right here, once again, these are poor lows. So these do need to be taken, in my opinion, for a reversal. So this does need to update. So I'm not sure if this were taken. I do believe so, because we did take this on this pair, right? Let me check. That is Ethereum. I just need to understand the dates. 12 hours, 30 minutes. Okay, no, technically they have been taken. That low right there, 27th. Right, so that's the one. No, so this still needs to be taken on the CME. If we do something like that and give some excess and then close back above with the candle, then I'll be interested in that long trade. And once again, I think this is the one place where we can reverse. If we don't reverse here, I do expect that for this to be taken, because also this, as you can see, it's in gray. For those people who don't know, this means that this was put in the electronic hours, which means that it was not during the time that the New York market is open. So still, I do prefer to see the lows being put in when you get this type of purple profile, right? So once again, it's either going to be here, either after taking these lows, or it's going to be a trade down here. And yeah, this should be pretty clear in my opinion. So yeah, honestly, not much else. Perhaps what we could do is, let me clean this up so it's clear. Delete. So a possible bound, I'm also going to delete these positions. These are old now, and one is successful, one is not. We could see, for example, that tap down here to clean those lows. That's where we could put in the excess. And then once again, once we reclaim the lows, that's your trigger right there, with the stop loss wherever the low is going to be, right? If you want to be safe, just keep it below here or below that one. And again, these are not my favorite, but I will accept them for now, just because we have that resistance above, which I'm really interested in. But as you can see, being aggressive would not have paid off so far. I mean, because we still haven't taken the low, but yeah, it wouldn't have so far. So again, I do want to wait for another move lower, and then I might take that trade. No noise, it's fine. Okay, perfect. All right, so that's my plan for Bitcoin. I think it's very simple. And now we can start looking at the chart for whatever altcoins you guys want to see. Pippin still not doing anything. Let's move on to this. Solana, as I always said, I am interested in lower for a new long trade, that is. I do hold spot, so in case we reverse here, that's fine with me. I also did walk you through this short trade, by the way. I did take a losing trade, by the way, there. But I did walk you through this short trade, which was above these highs, onto the anchor VWAP, onto the value area high. And I was saying simply, don't take it like just when we get above those highs. Of course, you could have been aggressive if you got that SFP above this high. But for me, the plan was to wait for that market structure shift, losing the anchor VWAP, which we did, and losing that value area high. So trading back below it, and then trading that back test, which, by the way, was actually quite perfect. I didn't take this short trade myself, by the way, but I did walk you guys through it in another live. And that was right here, right? So look at that. That was actually perfect. You got that market structure shift on the 4 hours, on the 30 minutes. You got that retest. You got that retest of the value area high. Look at that. Even the point of control of that smaller range. You got the retest of the anchor VWAP. And that was the trigger once it's been lost again to go short. And so you would have had a short from here with the stop loss above, targeting that $100 that I've been speaking about. That for me 106 to be precise, is going to be the next target. And that would have given you a 1 to 6. Even if you wanted to be even more conservative, you would have had an entry, for example, on the loss of this point of control, stop loss above the high, and that would have still given you a 1 to 4. So pretty amazing trade. So all right, so now let's actually move on to the chat. Remember to drop whatever asset you want to look at, and we'll look at it together. I'm going to start from the top. So Sui was the first request. Let's go to Sui. Sui, I had given this long trade here. I believe this had never activated because we never had that shift in market structure, which, yeah, so this was given in a live stream, but again, there was no market structure shift, so no need to take this. I never sent an alert for this. This was just an idea, which never activated. And as you can see, waiting for like a little bit more of a conservative approach very oftentimes saves you a lot of money. Let me clean this chart up, to be honest. I think we can do a new analysis here. There, remove. I messed up, hold on. All right, so when you don't get these market structure shifts, there's no need to take that trade, in my opinion, especially if you are trading altcoins, because altcoins are pieces of shit. They will just drop like that and keep on dropping. Even after you see that massive drop right here, right? Maybe some people are thinking, oh, 15% down, I'm gonna trade that bounce back up. There's no way this doesn't bounce back. No, absolutely not. Another 10% for you from there, 15% from that point. So don't just trade because something falls. Anyways, let's see what we have going on here. So we are approaching these lows, which could be interesting. That wick, I think, is a bit too low. I mean, we can get there eventually. These wicks, as I always say, they do tend to get filled, and you do tend to get a nice reaction, for example, like we did on WLD. By the way, look at this. I was actually saying this in my last live stream. I said, if you want to make some nice money, one strategy that you can do is try to trade every single fake out of these wicks that we got on some of these projects. And I mean, this was pretty accurate to actually my drawing. Just a little bit higher I put it, but if you match this here, I mean, you can clearly see you had them move down. And by the way, you can go and check my lives. I think this was 3 lives ago. I gave this exact drawing. I didn't draw this after it happened. I drew this before it all happened. You have them move down below. This is called a fake out. Back above, back test, massive pump, right? You can check that on whatever altcoins. If you have some time, look up every single altcoin, find these wicks, and maybe 50% of them play out, 50% of them don't. But guess what? If 50% of them play out with a risk to reward of, I mean, look at that massive pump, right? That was an insane pump. This would have given you a 1 to 9. So you can be wrong half the time, but if it pays you a 1 to 10 on average, or let's say maybe not on average, but maybe it pays you a 1 to 3, a 1 to 4, that's still going to be profitable. So yeah, these trades are very interesting now that these wicks are starting to get filled. Same exact thing happened on Hype, by the way. Let's see. I do remember this happening. There you go. Same exact setup. In this case, we had an SFP. There you go. Close the candle above, 4 hours, 30 minutes, whatever you want. Wait for that trade to be back above. Look at that. Another retest. Let's imagine you traded the retest right there. Stop loss right here. All right, these can give you like insane risk to rewards. And boom, for example, here you would have had 1 to 27, 1 to 30, whatever, and it would have worked out. Let's assume that you wanted to be a little bit more conservative. You want to wait for that market structure shift. You enter above here, put the stop loss here. Still, that's going to give you a 1 to 9, which is great. You don't need to be going for 1 to 30. 1 to 30 is quite impressive, quite hard to get, but and it's very risky. But still, 1 to 9 is amazing. So yeah, I hope that is clear. Anyways, let's go back to Sui. We are getting to these lows, which are not the wick, but we can still take them into consideration. There is some nice liquidity here, as you can see. A series of lows. These first two have been taken. I would say at this point we can go for that overall low. And let's give a little bit more of an analysis here and see what we have. All right, so I do like this. We're approaching once again that value area low. If we get a fake out, we can get that nice setup once we reclaim the value area high, and perhaps once we get that market structure shift. So you could have a trade that will look like this. Once again, stop loss will depend on where we put the low. And then, you know, you can target first that point of control and then that full rotation to, I would say above $2. I mean, again, you do have to keep in mind that you're going to have some resistances, the anchor VWAP, some more local pools, etc., you know. So always keep that in mind. But this can be a nice trade. Even though, to be honest, the best thing to look for here are short trades so far, to perhaps go and fill that wick. But let's see. Let's start from the higher time frame. Monthly, nothing. Weekly, we do have a weekly here. Perhaps we can try to trade this on a short if we do get a pump. Daily, oh no, wait, I didn't finish my weeklies. These are all tapped, Okay, we do have a higher one here, but I would say that is way too far. Daily levels, we are hitting one right now. And as you can see, I mean, these daily levels do tend to get very respected. We had a daily level right here. Kind of, I mean, it kind of got touched here, but you can see the respect once again here. And you had that bounce off of that daily. Then once again, now this became the new daily level right here. And once again, perfect on the daily time frame. Perfect reaction from there for a nice bounce. Once again, now this became the new daily level, which this time got front run actually for that nice move up. And now once again, I mean, it happened once, it happened twice. If we get that close, honestly, on that daily, which is going to be 9 hours, I might take that trade just out of curiosity, to be honest. I've never traded like this, but this seems to be quite a repeating pattern. I mean, once again, it happened once, twice, maybe 3 times. I don't know, could be a cool idea, right? Getting the pump here. So let's see, it would be nice, for example, and this would actually be my preferred scenario, if we can, let's say in the next hours, go and grab those lows and then get that daily close above that daily level. I think that's going to be very interesting. So I will take this trade, I think, if we get exactly my plan. And yeah, that's going to be cool. So honestly, interested in a long trade. I'm not going to look for shorts because I think it's too far. Maybe once we get this long trade to play out, I'll look for a short. So Sue is done. Possible to give a look at XLM. Sure, XLM, USDT.P. This was a shame that we didn't get that short trade. I would say daily, this another daily here. You are at the daily level, but I think it's way too close to that wick. I feel like this is going to be taken. I would say either try to short this to then get that wick. So once again, the short trade is going to be up here at 34 cents. Nothing has changed for that, except that now we need a much bigger bounce, which seems a little bit unlikely. Is this still valid? To be honest, not really. If we, for example, SFP here and trade back up, that would be valid. But yeah, it's either going to be a short trade off of a pump, or it's going to be a long trade off of that typical setup that I just talked about, which is going to be the fill of the wick, right? To trade this to whatever we get first, right? So if, for example, we fill the wick first and then we move up here, this is not going to be as interesting anymore, but I'll still take a look. Whereas if we first get this, then I think it's going to be a really amazing short trade to go and take this unfinished wick. So technically my preferred scenario would be first to get into a short trade. If we get it, I do think it's very unlikely. So again, that would be a 70%. It's possible, it happens, it's crypto. As you guys know, yesterday Pippin pumped 80% and then dropped 40%. So it's totally possible. And yeah, that would be the best scenario for me. So if we can just, for example, I don't know, we do have some highs here also that need to be taken. Let's assume this is a range. You can be looking for that lower time frame trigger, right? That would not be bad. So once again, if we want to make some crazy predictions, which typically play out, but I have less confidence in this one, I would say the best case scenario would be to reverse here. So have something like this if we get a bullish reaction. So grabbing the liquidity, getting that fake out, trading this back up to here, then trading this into a short. So we would have long, to short, to fill that wick, and then again long. Again, very speculative. I don't know how likely it is to play out. I wouldn't be able to give you a percentage thing, but yeah. So once again, look at that, Bitcoin, no bullish reaction. Correct choice not to long this. There was no need, there was no bullish reaction. So yeah, I would say it seems likely that we're gonna go take these lows, which is kind of a shame. I do think at this point it's probably gonna be that 86,000, yeah. Once again, unless we get that reclaim, which again seems quite unlikely. So yeah, I would say Bitcoin still looking for lower. And Pippin once again still looking for lower. So I'm only in short trades. And again, I mean, my Bitcoin short now keeps on making money. So again, I'm protected. No stop loss was hit, and yeah. So let's let this ride. It's in 5.3k profit, so that's awesome. Now let's look at another one. Do you think we topped at 98k? Again, if you're new, I did call this top on Bitcoin at 98,000. I had a short from 97,000. I had a short from 93,000. You can go back to my videos and you will see that I called this. So I was long from 85,000 3 weeks ago. 35. Okay, well now there's I want to retire. This. But anyways, on this video, I was long. I was saying I was looking for higher targets. As you can see, I was looking for that long trade, which played out pretty perfectly. And then I gave that target between 98 to 96, which once again played out perfectly. And my target was actually 78,000. So I do hope this plays out, because that would be another amazing prediction. And yeah, that was pretty awesome. And not only was this from 3 weeks ago, I also gave you one in the 13th of December. So that is almost 2 months ago now. Next Bitcoin trades, somewhere I did mention, there you go, right there. I was still waiting for that 96 to 97 for that trade. Let me see what target I gave. I gave that target to 86k, which again, guess what? That is exactly where we are trading right now. So yeah, I do think it's possible that was the top. I do think it's possible that we go for 79 to, I've been speaking about this for quite a bit, 79 to 65. I think those are very, very possible targets. And again, look at that crash on Bitcoin. So once again, that was the correct choice. I do hope I saved you some money. So yeah, it's totally possible. But again, as I've explained, if we start to reclaim these levels, right? So this is fine for a low. This doesn't have to be taken, okay? We have that nice lower high. If we can maintain, for example, right here off of that trade that I've been speaking about, which maybe we might get today, to be honest, we're getting quite close to it. If we can maintain the series of higher lows, I do think it's possible that the low here is finished, that we don't need to do that, right? We do have that series of higher lows, and perhaps we can look for that full reversal. But again, we're going to have to look at this step by step. It's hard to say like, yes, it's in, it's never going to be taken again. I do think in the long term, eventually it's going to be taken. But again, if you want to look at a more local outlook, you're going to have to look first at this, see if this gets the reclaim, then you're going to have to look at that, see if that gets the reclaim already. If this gets the reclaim, I think if we start trading above 93,000, I don't think this is the high. And I do think we can trade back above towards 101 to 105. And then once again, it's all a game of checking reactions and see the reclaims. If we reclaim here, we move there. If we reclaim here, we move up there. If we don't reclaim here, you can expect them move lower. If that level is lost, you can expect them move lower, etc., right? So that's pretty much how price action works. It's level by level. I can't make a prediction now telling you, yes, this is in. No, the probabilities right now are that this is in. Probabilities are going to increase even more if we start to lose, for example, here. Then I would say, yeah, for at least the next months, that's going to be in. And I think this is where we're going, and this low is probably going to be taken out, right? So it changes every day based on where price is. As of now, I would say it's bearish, and I would say it's likely we make new local lows. I'm not talking about this, but if this is lost, then my bias is going to be even more that these are going to be taken. Okay, I hope that's clear. I mean, everything is just bleeding terribly. What a shame. Neo's just not being able to hold that. I do kind of wish I could have taken profit, but again, I didn't want to open my bank account in front of you guys. So you guys costed me probably costed me about 1.5k, but whatever. Not a big deal. All right, so let's go back to the chat. Smash them calls on Pippin, thank you. Sui would be interesting, no noise. SCRT, never heard of this one, let's check it out. I do think there's some news that came out that I'm not aware of, by the way, because market crash, I mean, stock market also crashed, so I don't know. Oh, God. To be honest, I don't really like this chart. This just looks terrible ever since it launched. Not a single higher high. Just lower highs, lower highs. I would say definitely not interested in any longs. Look at that respect of the point of control. I would say here, find some resistance and try to short. So yeah, the thing is already this has been touched. Anchor VWAP has been touched. I'm not going to look at higher targets. I don't think this has the strength for higher targets. You know, maybe you could look at this, something more local. Doesn't look great. You know, maybe that daily level, that weekly has already been tapped. That would have been the trade to go short. If you really want to, I mean, you can try to trade this here. Not a trade I'm interested in. To try and take this lower. I do think this is just going to keep on falling and losing. And yeah, I mean, Bitcoin just looks terrible today. How much am I making on this? Now, just made, I think when I started this live, we were what, here? No, here. This was 1.7. Made me another $600 in the meantime. Okay, so yeah, honestly, that token, just look for that short trade if you have to look for a trade. Personally, I'm not interested. All right, then, can you check common? Massive dip, looks like a rug pull. Common. Sure. I don't even know if it's on here. Okay, rug pull. Oh my god, this is terrible. Absolutely terrible. Typical thing that launches and does shit. I'm not gonna touch this. If you want to try to short it, be my guest. I don't even know where you would try to find an entry here. But yeah. Hype back inside value area high. Would you wait for 1 hour candle closure? Let's see, hype. Yeah, that could be nice. That can be a nice local trade. Let's see. Let's clean this up. Right, so let's see. Now, I've noticed that these trades don't typically work out the best. Is that weekly tapped? That weekly is tapped. All right, I do have an idea here. I think if we can hold this weekly, back test the value area high after breaking it, you know, maybe you could trade something like this as a range, as you can see. If this anchor VWAP moves up, can be a nice fake out of the low onto the anchor VWAP, reclaim the weekly, and then you can have that trade. I mean, I would do it here, otherwise the risk reward is not going to be great. Stop loss below the low. First target is going to be other side of the range, which as you can see is also lining up nicely with the anchor VWAP, then point of control. And then of course, if you guys have been following along, you know that once you flip that point of control, your next target is going to be value area high. So there is a scenario where hype can run back up to $50. You just need to get a nice trigger, right? If this is lost, I would say likely that we go back towards $20. Very, very simple. So we're getting the same setup. Let's see Tau. I've covered Tau quite many times. There you go, Tau. Why did I have this trade? So I guess we looked at this the other day and it was off. I don't really like these right here. Not my favorite. But if you do get that setup with a candle close in 24 minutes, that can be valid. I would personally wait for a market structure shift before you take that trade. Again, to be honest, with this weakness and expecting Bitcoin to go, we're quite close actually to that trade that I've been speaking about. Did you see how quickly, what I said? Once you lost this, I said, it's likely we go and take here. And look at that, massive drop, just like I had said. Now we do have to monitor this. This is gonna be really interesting. And I am interested in this trade. So it's either gonna be that we get a bullish reaction and we take that trade that I've been waiting for. And which, once again, guess what? Look at this. Look right here. Boom, boom. Way in advance in my video. So, yeah. I'm gonna check order flow already, see what is going on. I'll tell you what is happening. So, no shorts opening yet. This is just a massive liquidation of longs, which I think is the people who longed this yesterday early. So it would be nice to take these people out, right? Best scenario is keep that long liquidation right here. Get some shorts stuck down here, right? Then move back below. The shorts come in here. We check that on the order flow. We get that reclaim. Boom. Trade it back up to that target. Okay? Very, very simple. In case we just do, and this is, I think, where a lot of people mess up, they start getting scared. Oh my God, I'm going to miss my position, blah, blah, blah. That's where you don't have patience. If this does this, okay, no need to take that trade. We're going to trade this back down to 79. Hope that's clear. And again, still making money off of this. So I might take a little bit off, or honestly, I'll just hedge it with a long trade if we get that reaction. No need to take profit. I do want to let this run. I think this can literally just run down to 80,000 if we don't get that right reaction. So why would I want to sell out of my short trade, which is the only thing that is protected me against the market falling? Thank you, Gianluca. I appreciate your support. Guys, actually, I know Gianluca. Gianluca is one of my best friends from Italy. So, yeah, cool to have him on the stream. Can you check link? Let's take a look at link. Also, I don't know if this is gonna play out during the live stream, so I will update in the Discord to my premium members. Well, premium members, it's free, but if you trade with my exchange, you get free access. So I will warn you if I take this trade, because I do gotta go in like 5 to 10 minutes, and I don't know if this is gonna happen before I gotta leave. So we said link. Link. Oh my God. It's actually crazy how much these altcoins have been performing like shit. I would say wait for, oh my God. No, honestly, nothing to do here. No trade. Absolutely no trade. All right, well, here's that Bitcoin move below the low. Still didn't take, oh, actually we did. Let me check order flow. No need to rush into this, guys. Really, no need. 1 minute. So I think I'll take this aggressively considering that I have a short, and so I'm not so worried about taking this long. And I'm gonna wait for shorts to come in. And I'm gonna be aggressive in the sense that I will wait for a 1 minute market structure shift and the trade, for this to trade above the lows. He's got the game. Thank you, guys. The gems, my bad. We can for sure tell that the lives are absolute fire. Thank you. Thank you, guys. I appreciate the support. Someone talking about a possible exit scam from Binance. On what? Okay, I actually don't have time to look at all of these. I'm gonna look at the last one, River, and see, once again, no need to trade this yet. No bullish reaction. And again, I'm monitoring order flow in the meantime, and there's not much on the order flow, just longs getting liquidated. Were you able to see? No, you weren't. Okay, so last one I'm gonna look at is River, because, and this one I'm pissed about because I missed my short trade on this. Look at that. Absolute crazy reversal. Didn't get hit for so little, $2 for my short trade to be actually less. I just wanted to see an SFP of this high right here. And that would have been, I don't even know how much, but shame. Because this would have been an insane trade, which I had prepared for. I had made a pretty crazy prediction. I think we were here or something, or maybe, no, I think we were here. We were right here. And I said, the target for a short is going to be 90. We went to 89.7. Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. Anyways, thank you, Gianluca. I appreciate that again. Anyways, guys, that's it for today. No bullish reaction on Bitcoin yet. Just keeps on dropping. No need to take this trade yet. If I do, once again, I'll update you in the Discord. And I will catch you on Monday. Oh, actually, tomorrow's Friday. Yeah, I don't know. Depends. Maybe if there's something interesting, I'll go. I think now a lot of shorts have opened. I can just tell by the price action. Let me confirm. Yeah, so now not a lot of shorts, just 1 million. 1 million shorts have opened. And just, okay, everything is changing. It's like longs getting liquidated. But we do have some shorts now at the bottom. And you honestly, you can just tell sometimes without order flow based on the candle moving. Takes some experience, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, nothing to do, to be honest. Well, let's just set an alert above here and see what happens. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you Monday or tomorrow.